We're here live with Natasha and Christina from Hulahoop. They are transforming the film financing industry. They are really cool women with a fintech startup right here in Barcelona, and I want to thank you guys for being with me here. Barcelona, we like to help keep people in Barcelona informed, the people in the international community, about cool stuff that's going on. And one of our ethos is really to perform interviews to help give visibility, particularly to women entrepreneurs, because we always know that they don't get enough visibility. So to the extent that we can work with really cool people, and there's lots of them, but sometimes they're not so easy to find. We know they're out there. And anyway, it was wonderful that you got in touch with me, Natasha. Thank you so much for coming out yesterday. Christina, we had a wonderful conversation before, which really, excited me to have this conversation today. And that was it, just as the background. So thank you for being with me.
Thank you, Victor, so much.
Can you give us a little bit of background so that people understand what hula hoop is and isn't? Because this industry is really interesting.
Exactly. So basically, Hula Hoop is a fintech platform that allows everyone to invest in entertainment, from films, TV series, documentaries, including music festivals that we're starting this fall. And basically, you can invest from 500 euros onwards in a very easy, simple and efficient way. We've optimized the platform so it's very simple, both for producers but also for investors, to protect, these projects that are still not out there, but at the same time being able to visualize them and be transparent in the financials behind it, because the idea with Hula Hoop is basically to give returns in this industry that usually it's been betted as maybe, not great, but at the same time, there is some very, very, very successful stories out there, and we're the ones choosing these films and making them into a financial product that makes sense to everyone and that can be an alternative investment for many.
Okay.
Perfect explanation. Nothing to add. Perfect explanation.
Okay, so I'm gonna put up this question, which kind of goes into what you were saying before. So if you're transforming access to the financing of independent content, films, TVs, all this stuff, what is the pivotal moment that led you both to choose this particular path?
Well, in my case, I come from the industry. I was born and bred in Barcelona. My parents are in the animation world. And so I kind of grew up with it. Then I started getting into sales with some of my dad's TV shows. And then I realized I could be a stunt woman. And so I decided that was a great way of entering the industry through another side. And I ended up doing events as a producer and concerts, and also producing a film. And that's when I realized, the complex financing side. And although I never, ever, ever wanted to finance a movie again, I met Marc Borrell, that is our co-founder, and he kind of comes from obviously the startup world. And he was the one that had this vision of joining both worlds and making it not only accessible, but also easy to finance. And that's when I kind of thought it was going to be an easy ride. And obviously nothing is easy, but it's definitely way more scalable and than just doing it traditionally, really.
So and Marc Borrell, who is going to appear a lot in this interview, brought me to the project. He was my former client. I worked in marketing for many, many years internationally. I'm actually an expat for the past 12 years of my life as well. Now I live in Galicia, that is not as metropolitan as Barcelona, but very cool still. And I came back to Spain in April last year, and Marc knew that I was coming back to Spain and knew that I left the company that I was previously working for. And he called me in a moment when I was just, buying a house in the countryside, trying to restore it, taking a break from my professional career, because I was working in an agency environment, really, really stressful and high-paced. Actually, an agency focusing on startups and scale-ups. So that's my background. And then Marc was like, Chris, I have a project for us to work on together. Like, okay, what is it? It's a platform for financing entertainment. And I was like, what? Like, and I was like, okay, well, sounds interesting, you know. And then I had a call with Natasha, and Natasha and I got on really, really, really well. And, you know, I moved back to Spain the 18th of March, and the 4th of April, I was already in the hula hoop team working as the CMO. And then I naturally moved to the co-CEO position with Natasha. And now we kind of like split responsibilities. You know, Natasha is more the industry person, the person that brings us all the cool content. She keeps all the key relationships. She's the face of hula hoop. She's really, really good, you know, at that. And I deal with the internal stuff. I connect all the teams. I make sure we all drive the board towards the same vision, and I just run the daily operations of the company.
Just as if it was
just that, you know. I guess 'cause I've also been involved with startups here in Barcelona for the last 20 years, helping them either get financing or putting them in touch with potential, I guess, equity investors. And so I understand the challenges that you have. And you know, when I saw that it was actually a fintech platform for financing, I guess, entertainment, different forms of entertainment, I thought this is effing brilliant. This is great because there's so many, I guess, opportunities to help small independent movie producers and actors and actresses that are doing some really creative stuff. And in Metropolitan, we really like to help, you know, support the culture of Barcelona and Spain in general. And sometimes that means just taking out some cash and putting some in towards somebody's project. But, you know, a lot of it, I always expect I won't get any of that back. And when you talk to me about how you approach it, I thought this is fantastic. So I got really excited about interviewing you to hear a little bit more about it. Can you talk about how you think the approach can change the landscape of independent entertainment, say over the next few years, and especially with this newfound accessibility through your platform?
Basically treating it as an investment, a very valid investment, a very profitable investment that can be part of any retail investor's portfolio. That's what we want to achieve. The same as, you know, there's this company in Spain called Urbanitae. They're an investment platform for real estate. Mm-hmm. We literally want to do exactly the same, but for entertainment, make it profitable. So we give access, you know, to investors from outside the entertainment industry to come in to support projects. And of course, those projects need to give returns, not only a t-shirt. Like that's the main difference between Hulahoop and any other crowdfunding platform as Kickstarter. We are a fintech. Our projects are financial products for starters.
And to do so, at the same time, we do filter the projects. We don't just allow anyone to pull up their project or film or whatever. We actually spend a lot of time with the producers, checking them out, you know, making sure they have a track record, they understand distribution, they give us a good deal, you know, that is at least standard in the industry. So we make sure that we're creating these long relationships with different like top producers that have not only one film, but a slate of films instead.
Yeah, and the criteria that they must meet for the projects to go on our platform, it's quite, the due diligence is quite intense, you know, because we are starting this journey. Our investors cannot lose. They just cannot lose, you know. So what Natasha is saying, we have incredible partners in the film industry and in the music industry that for us, it's like sometimes we're in a meeting with them and I'm like, wow, they're really trusting us, our tool, you know, they do believe this is, you know, going to change the industry. So our projects need to have distribution agreements. These are sales agreements that we need to know where they are going to be commercialized. We need really in-depth financials. We need forecasts. We need all sorts of things. And I think Natasha can also explain a bit more about this because she's from inside the industry. But for me, as an outsider, I was really surprised that people manage to finance their movies with a simple deck that only talks about what actors do they have in there, who is the producer, who is the director, what are the most, you know, what is the return, the return waterfall, and what budget do they need, and what is that they're giving for return of investment. And if you, maybe that works for the investors in the entertainment industry because they have a, a feeling of like, oh, this director won't fail. I know these people, they will sell it to Netflix for sure or whatever. But for an investor, experienced investor even that comes from outside the industry, they value all those things. But what matters is show me the collateral. How am I getting this back? So that's also what we are trying to do with the projects. Yeah.
Well, I think one of my best friends since I was 12 years old just came to visit me last week, and he's been he's been extremely successful. He lives out in LA and has a casino or two in Las Vegas, and a lot of his partners work in the industry with a lot of actors and producers, really famous people. And so he's always looking for interesting things to invest in. And I think he's always kind of had his eye on how to get involved here. So I would love to present him to you. But he invests a lot of money to stay off the grid, off the web. So I will share with you personally, but would not. He'll kill me if I announce what his name is here. But he might be very interested in what you're doing here. And also, I find very interesting because I was trying to associate what you guys are doing with another organization that does crowdfunding or equity funding. And Capital Cell is what I was thinking of when I was trying to convert. You're talking about a real estate one. I also thought of that one. So it's kind of interesting that you immediately did that. I was like, oh my God, they're just like this, but in this sector. So
yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge do you think that you guys have faced as you're introducing your model, and how have you overcome them, and what is left? How can we help you?
For me, the most critical challenge that we have is really that a lot of business angels and family offices or venture capitals, they don't understand the industry. So a lot of times when we tell them the percentage of interest of the returns, that is quite high in consideration with other industries, everyone backs out and they're like, how can it be so high? There must be a lot of risk. And obviously it's an industry where there's risk, but at the same time, there is tax incentives that lower the budget. There is a lot of grants, government grants, and also there's pre-sales. So you pre-sell the movie. That doesn't mean the money comes immediately, but you have a contract that you can then go to the bank or to investors and get the money instead. So there's a lot of ways of making it less risky. Also, because it's not a pie that you split it with everyone involved, but it's a waterfall. So first goes the cinemas, then the distribution, then the sales agent, and then the producers, right? Inside of the producers waterfall, if you're in the first position, you don't have to make the full amount of the budget to be profitable as the producer with their interest. Of course, obviously the film will not be profitable, but maybe the investor would, right? Yeah. And the idea to find the right spot in the waterfall with the right interest to make it as easy to understand as possible with such a complex financial.
I mean, I think what Natasha is trying to say is that we are disrupting an industry. We are trying to disrupt an industry, or at least the financing part and the production part of an industry. And that happens to all disruptors. It has happened to Uber. It has happened to Glovo in Spain. That for venture capitals, it's risky, like how are these people going to do this? And what they don't understand is that we have amazing partners, amazing people in our team that are making things happen for us, that we have, forgive my language, our shit together in terms of the projects that we put onto the platform, because as I said earlier, our investors cannot lose. And I think sometimes it's the same as with banks, as soon as you say, oh, investment film industry, people go like, oh, wait, and I think that's been a big challenge. But I also think that as soon as our investors start receiving returns, that is for us our key metric, of course, because the word of mouth thing is going to spread. That's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 months. Then I think a lot of, venture capitals and investors are going to be like, okay, they kind of like opened, this black box, and then a lot of issues will also disappear from.
Yeah.
Also, I also had a question. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Please continue.
No, at the same time, what I was going to say is that we consume this industry on a daily basis. And it's one of the only industries that we can't have access. Like no one can invest in anything they watch, and I think that that is the breaking point when we can actually give films and shows that are already like second seasons, and they already have an audience and all these things that we're coming up in the following months that are very exciting, by the way.
That goes to something that I was going to say. I'm sorry. I feel like I cut you off again. Did I cut you off?
No, you didn't.
All right. That's that you guys are kind of cheating a little bit. Do you know why I say that?
Right.
Why?
Because you're coming with this new approach, with this cool way to finance things, but you also have the pick of the litter. You see all these. There's movies and there's projects, and they are from the best of caliber to not the best. And you guys are coming in with a methodical approach, a scientific approach to figuring out through your due diligence and other stuff that you do, and you make sure that you're getting the best and with the most reliable, with the highest probability for continued success, not just some success, because you're already kind of working with people who have achieved a certain level of success, and now you're just kind of helping them scale or bounce up to the next level. That's a little bit of cheating.
It's not. Well, it is. It is. But it's actually because we need to take off as a startup, So like, again, our main focus are our investors. What is Natasha's and I's dream? Our dream is that in 3 to 4 years from now, we have a big community of investors. We've proven our success. We've given the returns back, and then we can offer more risky projects, projects with depth that are maybe in the development phases. Maybe they're still writing the script. Maybe nothing has been done, So that's our dream. How do we get there? Making Hulahoop successful first. Also, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, we don't only enter when it comes to direct investment in the productions. We do choose movies or films that are already almost done and need just the final push, because that lowers the risk by like 1,000. But we also invest in tax credits for the movies that are the grants that the Spanish government gives to movies that are produced and shot in Spain. Spain is a very, very competitive market when it comes to film. And we offer freelancers and companies in Spain to invest, if they have profit at the end of their fiscal year, to invest that profit into tax incentives for films from 5,000 euro onwards, through something called financial contract, contrato de financiación in Spanish. I don't even know if that's the right term in English. Sorry, forgive me. But then they invest in that, and in the next income declaration, they save 20% of all of that. And I think that's a way also for us to support from this very early stage of our startup, to support projects that haven't even been shot yet.
Yeah.
Through capturing the tax incentives investment for those projects.
I would just like to add that we've been overwhelmed with the amount of projects that are top project, independent, but independent doesn't mean cheap. That's something that also we want to take away. Independent means independent. It could be a $90 million budget, but it's still independent, right? It's independent of the major studios. That's what it means. I know that it's often heard, independent, it's a little shitty movie, like very small. No, not necessarily. And a lot of actors and a lot of people in the industry that have got a bit tired of the major studios and maybe just want to do the script their way, they're choosing to go independently. And it doesn't mean the budgets are like super tight. Some are. And it means also that the actors are betting on the projects, because they're not getting the money up front. They're getting the back end, the profit sharing, right? In the same way as we are in certain projects, we don't just get the percentage of interest, but we also get a little bit of the back end or profit. So when we do...
Sorry. No, please continue. Sorry.
when we choose these projects and these, when I say top producers, it's just, they also need, this cash flow, and they also need to be able to do just not one film, but continue with the rest of the slate they have. So many times
they need to compete, right, against the big studios for marketing. Even marketing is a lot of money that goes into movies, for example. So
yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I found fascinating, I recently read a documentary, read a book that discussed the success of Rocky 2, and how, or just Rocky and Rocky 2, and Henry Winkler, and how it was given to NBC, and he bought it back for almost nothing because they didn't think it was going to be successful, but they weren't giving the rights for anybody to produce it. And then all of a sudden, this is where, I guess Sylvester Stallone and Henry Winkler, big actors in the U.S., made a killing on this movie. But it's a lot of risk up front that a lot of people forget about. And it's always easy to say, yeah, it was a really good movie, really good thing. But if you just look at there's tons of really great movies that never make it.
absolutely.
Great companies that never get the visibility. They don't scale properly. They have to have the right team at the right moment. And one of the things that I think is really important when you come to startups, you always hear about the team and the partners, and the biggest mistakes tend to be in the partnership. So if we can transition a little bit over to how you guys complement each other, both in terms of vision and in leadership. You mentioned a little bit here before, Christina, but can you expand a little bit on the dynamic influence and the company culture that you have here?
I mean, I think, go ahead, Natasha, sorry.
Well, for me, it's I've always in all the other, like, let's call them startups, although they're more traditional than that. But in every company that I've built, I've always missed like the position that I have with Christina now, with her role. I've always known that I needed to understand more about marketing, and I needed to, do things in a certain way. And it's true that for me, like having her in the team the first day she came, and to understand that we have the same values, we like the same things, although we come from complete different backgrounds. It's been very nice to find people, and not only Christina, but the whole team is more or less the same, and we're very like senior level people in different areas. We don't clash, we don't have egos in that sense of like wanting to compete against us. We want to compete against the world but not against each other. So I think that there's a lot of that in the team that we've been able to create together, and there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of also patience, because not everyone comes from the same side of the industry. Some come more in tech, some are more in the industry of entertainment. But it's really nice because we're all learning at the same time. And I think that we've got the same vision. We know where we're going. And, this is just the beginning of something very big, in my opinion,
Yeah, I absolutely see how you will scale to make this huge. So, Christina, would you like to add to some of the
I just wanted to add that for me, it's been always my dream to be an entrepreneur, and to be an entrepreneur with another female leader. So I think Natasha and I, as she said, we have common values. We are people that are extremely driven by purpose. So we need to believe in something, and when we do believe in something, we just fight it until the end. Very passionate, both of us as well. And we do believe in the same vision, that is democratizing investment for everyone in the world in the entertainment industry. And the way that we walk, though, towards that vision is different. And that's why I think we're a winning combo, because I am way more the strategy person. I have a lot of patience. I am in there for the long game. I am very good with the team and the team dynamics, and I really like the internal stuff in the company, whereas Natasha is absolutely external. She's larger than life. She will sell anything to you in like 3 minutes. Believe me, like anything. She's the best business developer I've ever met in my life. And she's really good at leading the content side of Hulahoop. That is our most important part, because she holds the relationships with people that you're like, how does Natasha know this person? The other day, she was in a call with the mayor of New York. you know? That's what I'm saying. So I think we both complement each other really well. And I'm super grateful for that. And our team is honestly amazing. And we are very good friends, actually, all of us. So that's great.
So I looked at some of the pictures you sent me of the team. I saw you, and then also Sandra, and then a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
How many people are on your team?
So we're 8 people. As co-founders, we decided that although I know that in venture capital things are sometimes a bit different in that sense, but we do believe that together we're better, and we don't need to go through the rules of everything all the time. And I think that we just complement each other perfectly well. And if anyone wants to dig deep, they will realize that it's the best team we can have. And we want to be fair with everyone, and we want everyone to feel comfortable and feel that this is their baby as well.
Okay. So it's a baby team of
everyone. Yeah, of the team.
I wanted to say, I really like the other I don't know, motto or mantra, invest in what you love. You touched on the subject earlier about people can see on television, and the growth of Netflix and Hulu and independent filmmakers that are actually making it really big, as well as actors and actresses that are actually rather savvy once they understand how the business works, and they can make really, I guess, de-risk some of their investments and really pour on when they can add value to them. This is fascinating. I love what you guys are doing. Is there any chance that you could share a story or an example of how your approach can help bring to life something that may never have seen the light of day?
Well, I think that, from my point of view, obviously right now we are at an early stage. We financed 3 projects in the space of 6 months, which I honestly think it's pretty good. But I don't think we're kind of like the make it or break it of any of our projects now, because as I mentioned before, we have amazing partners, and they know what they're doing. They know to whom they're selling their projects. And I don't think if Hulahoop wouldn't have helped them, they would still be okay. But I think that as our community grows and producers and content creators and promoters realize that they do not have to go through the traditional systems to get the money for their films. I think a lot of projects, as you were mentioning earlier, Victor, that never see the light of day, but that are amazing projects and that are also commercially viable projects. But the platforms that you were mentioning now they are the studios. They are the monopolies of the industry. So they buy what they want to buy. They invest in what they want to invest. And they have very clear ideas. That's why everything looks the same in Netflix, So I think... Sorry, Victor?
No, please continue.
Okay, cool. So I think as we grow, a lot of projects are going to be produced and see the light of day because of Hulahoop. And we want to also give back the power to the producer as well, because we don't keep, and Natasha will explain you the intellectual property of exactly. Maybe you can actually explain.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. We want to empower the producer by not taking the IP away. So even if we raise, a big chunk of the equity, it's always commercial rights, what we share with the investors, and it's of that movie. So meaning that if you do number 2, number 3, number 4, you don't pull in everyone because they invested in the first one. This is unless obviously the producer maybe will say, well, depending what amount, you become an executive producer, and then yes, you can have rights to different seasons or whatever. But it depends more on the producer than to us, because we want to help both sides. And also we want to help the distributors, because we understand that, the cost of marketing is many times as big as the actual budget of a film. So what we want to try is to help them with the P&A as well, so they don't have to, so the independent distributors can also compete against, major studios that have bigger budgets for promotion and marketing.
Okay. I have this question then. What is the role of a producer on a film set?
Okay.
I thought I understood it, and then somebody told me who's in the industry, and I said that doesn't jive with what I thought. So I trusted him, and then I spoke to another lady, and she told me something completely different.
I
So
know.
can you help me understand this a little bit?
Okay. So it's very confusing always because different countries also use different terms. But basically, an executive producer is more in the financing side, either puts the money or finds the money. And the producer is who either also finds money, but also is concentrated in the actual production of the movie. So they go through the budgets, they go through the heads, they choose the heads of each department. They make sure the script is correct. They make sure that they can get tax incentives of different countries. So maybe they don't raise the equity money, but they do raise the money through the tax, through grants, and through pre-sales or co-productions, either with other countries or with broadcasters, for example.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Makes
You
sense.
very succinctly and very elegantly reaffirmed what I thought was the case. So
Okay.
I'm pretty excited that I hadn't been wrong in the first place. Okay, then can you talk about some of your accomplishments? Give us some glimpses of what's on the horizon for Hulahoop.
Sure. Well, I would like to start with the fact that we've already financed 3 films. The average is around 75,000, except this last one that is actually a BBC and CBC co-production. We're very excited about it. So if you want to go into the website and check it out, it's about all the injustice with the music industry and with Black artists. So you'll see a lot of famous faces, and we're very excited that this is actually coming out very soon, and we've already raised around 250K. So it's a very amazing goal for us. We're actually raising quicker and more money for films than for the actual startup, if it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the achievement. Yeah, so I would say our first biggest. So we started operations, just to give people some reference, with a full team and with processes in place and departments in place, and a clear business strategy in October 2023. So not even a year ago. And since then, I would say first we've closed our first funding round for the startup. That, as Natasha is saying, has been really hard. But now we finally closed it at around 600K. We're going to open the new round in a couple of months. We've raised 500,000 euro for movies since November 2023. 2 of them financed already through the platform. We have a fully functioning platform. Only the credit card payment system that will be integrated in Q4 is missing. We put a lot of money, effort, and everything, all our resources into building this platform, of course, because it's our enabler. We are also looking at building now an investment fund. Actually, Mark is leading this part. It will hopefully be ready by the end of Q4, beginning of Q1 2025, and we will use this to capture the B2B and institutional investments. It will make us way more agile, because we have the retail investors going through the platform, and then above 20,000 euro, it's already considered a B2B investor, institutional investor, and then there's a different channel for those funds.
A little more tailor-made channel.
Exactly, yeah. And we are also going to, our product roadmap is quite intense. I would say product is obviously our main point of investment at the moment, because all our resources are going there. So we are going to be integrating blockchain in our platform for security and safety reasons. Also to create a secondary market when we are able to tokenize the investments. That's a big plan that we have. We will also integrate artificial intelligence, probably in the selection process of the films, and then also for forecasting, the commercial possibilities of the films, amongst so many other things that you can do with AI that we are not even, grasping right now. But we do have a product roadmap in place. And I mean, a big focus for the next months is also, now that we've tested our platform and we know it works and it works well to capture, those smaller tickets, our aim is to grow our community and hopefully to start spending money on marketing. We know very well who our target group is, and so growing that community is also going to be one of the big parts. And
Okay.
Q4, we have 4 amazing projects. Stay tuned, because honestly, we have 4 amazing projects.
Yeah. All right, quick question. I keep meaning to ask you, and I keep forgetting. I wanted to ask you yesterday, Natasha, when we were in person. So it has to be with where you find your. Is there a geographic basis for where you accept projects that you look to fund to join your platform? Either Spain, the U.S., or UK, or no?
Not really. Actually, our first film is American. Our second film is Spanish, but French producers. And our third project is UK, France, Canada. So we don't really, obviously we are, but we already have that covered. We did want to get a Spanish, like full Spanish for a Spanish audience, just to test Spain in different ways. But really, we just think that nowadays everything is so international. All we see Korean projects,
actually,
yeah, you know, and I think nowadays Netflix, I guess, has opened that, you know, that side of things where we now don't need to, you know, understand the local language to just read the subtitles or have the films in different languages in itself. So I think it's really interesting that, because we don't base our geography in anything that particular, really. It's more about the content, about the story, if it resonates with us, if we want to share that with the world, because in the end, this platform will allow to be able to choose the films that in the future you or your family want to watch. You know?
Right. Okay, so that was on the where you choose some of the projects you're willing to fund. How about investors? Is there an area that you're focusing on, or is it more friendly to if you're Spain-based? Because you mentioned tax incentives.
That's really one side. But that's we're separating it a bit, because obviously for the tax incentive side, that is the most secure side. You don't have an upside. You don't get more than it's government. It's just optimizing a government opportunity that usually it doesn't get to the smaller businesses. But in terms of investors, we want to give access to anyone that has an internet connection wherever in the world and has, 500 euros onwards. And obviously this ticket could go down in the near future, obviously, because there's countries that 500 euros might be a lot of money and others that might not mean too much, so we want to really make it accessible to everyone. To get returns, to make it successful. And also, in a way, now we're a fintech platform, but tomorrow we might be a data-driven marketing platform where you have people and you have an audience and they actually invest in things and they're happy about it and they push projects and engage in a complete new way,
Interesting. Okay. Also, you had mentioned distribution when we were speaking earlier. What is the key component that makes a film scale quickly?
First of all, if it's theatrical release, that not all films are, but if it was, theatrical release are your promotion window. So if you have enough money for marketing and you push it in the right ways, nowadays more digital, but also still the traditional, like posters in the street, in the buses and so on. But really, people have to understand that if you go to the cinema, the film is going to be successful. If you don't, it won't. It's that simple, because if the film is successful and it has a huge box office, then all these other platforms will have to buy your film for a percentage of the box office success, not for the budget of the film. It's like, and it's around a 30%, I would say, in relation to the box office. So if you make a film that is 5-10 million and you make 100 million, any platform will have to pay around 30. So you're already in profit a long time ago. Even if you have to share a lot of it with cinemas, you usually give half to the cinemas, half to the distributor, and then the distributor takes a part, and then the, marketing and so on. But still, some of the films are really, really extremely profitable, and not only in year one. I mean, this is 5 different windows of revenue. You know, it's theaters, so cinemas, VOD platforms, then cable, then free TV, and ancillary rights that would be hotels, airplanes, military bases, etc. So it's 5 to 7 years revenue, and if you're Star Wars, it could be 40, 50 years. Depends.
I think I have 100 questions on just on that alone, so I'm not going to ask them because they're too detailed. But maybe at some point.
Can I interrupt you with that? We're actually building HI, that is the Hulahoop Investment Institute, where we will be talking about all these subjects. We will invite financiers, producers, actors, directors, everyone we know, into talking about the financing side of films and the distribution side.
Yeah.
So all these questions that you have, we will soon have a channel where we will be able to educate everyone into an industry that usually has been very.
And we already, if people want to check it out, we already share a lot of this knowledge of the of the Hulahoop Investment Institute on Instagram and on our newsletter every month.
That would be fascinating. I got to learn more about you. I think you guys would be fantastic people to have join us at one of our discussions at the BCN FinTech Association. I'm one of the co-founders there, and I have so many questions, but they're too nerdy. We're a bunch of nerds that love to understand these things, and some of us have a little bit of money that we can play with, and it just really does seem that there's so much of an upside to this. And so I'd like to learn a little bit more when we have some time. Maybe I'll take you out for dinner and understand what you're doing after I read what you have online already, so I don't waste your time.
I would honestly, Victor, recommend you and everyone that is watching and listening to check the project that Natasha was talking about, Paid in Full. Talks about the injustices committed against Black American musicians. And there's a lot of big names in there. It will be distributed by the BBC, and it will get released around the American elections. And it's going to make a lot of noise. And we really believe in this project.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I was thinking about this earlier, but there's so many things going through my mind as you're chatting. I'm president of the Democrats Abroad of Barcelona, and we get together to watch movies that are inspiring us to get more involved. And this is all before the change in our leading candidate. And we got together to watch La Manada. And two of the people who were in that group, they do independent documentaries, and they do films. So I found them fascinating, and a lot of this stuff probably would not have come to light if they hadn't done some of the investigative research, as well as all the editing that needs to get done, and done in such a wonderful way. So I love the idea of you democratizing it, making it easy for people to be part of something that's larger than themselves. And I want to thank you for your time and your mission. I'm really excited about what you're doing. So if I can help you in some way later on, please don't be shy. Come to me and ask. And my last question is, what else can we do to help you? And if there's anything else that you would like to say about you guys yourselves, or your mission, Hulahoop, whatever.
Well, I think that for us, this is thank you so much, Victor, for this opportunity. For us, it's growing our audiences is very important. So this for us is a really good opportunity that we will obviously enhance with then meeting you outside of it and so on. And I think that there's a lot of maybe contacts and people that you could introduce us to that could help us out immensely. And obviously, because we do a lot of American films as well, we get a lot of projects that we're overwhelmed with the amazing stories and projects and everything. So I think that, mainly, although we are in Spain, I think it's a good thing that we're connected with you or through you with America as well.
Yeah. And I would add to that, I would love to see people in the film industry supporting Hulahoop a bit more. I would love actors and actresses and producers and directors speaking about Hulahoop, trying out Hulahoop, investing in their own industry, I would love them to be our early adopters, but somehow they're not, So I would love if anybody in the film industry is listening to us. We want your support. We are doing this for you, and we would love to also to speak to you, to get in touch with you and see how we can work together.
And also, we have been chosen to pitch our startup in the San Sebastian Film Festival, so we will be there, and have that.
I was going to ask you if you're pitching or making yourself known at the film festivals, around Europe and the U.S. As you're speaking, as you just mentioned that, Christina, I know people who would probably have a firm view, either to very much support you or be very against you because of where they stand. But I'm gonna, without creating any expectations, now I'm gonna make some phone calls, because there are people in the industry, very senior people in the industry, that I just realized I didn't know that I knew them, but I do know them. I just don't have anything in common with them. And so, yeah, I'm going to make some phone calls and see if I can make some in. If they are receptive, they are incredible people for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, and also, like, we do have some people on the industry that have been very supportive. Actually, one of our business partners is Thomas Jageos. He is former president of 20th Century Fox for the past 20 years. He was responsible for the marketing strategy of Avatar, Deadpool, X-Men. I mean, just to name a few small films. But I think that, we've been lucky as well with Luis, that is our correspondent as well in LA, who is helping us out, and he's been vice president of Sony and other companies, the major companies. So we do have that side of the support in a way, but we need also, just to make it bigger in a way, and to understand that we're trying to help every party. We're trying to help the distributor, even the major studios. They are spending so much money on doing films. Not every film is successful. They're taking all the risks. They're taking all the profits, but also all the losses. So why not diversify a little bit of that investment to have better films, to understand what the audience wants to watch, instead of just pulling out there whatever you want and then figuring out, oh, didn't work. Well, if people are paying money for it, they obviously want to see it, and they'll be the first people to drive other people into the cinemas or into the watching these series, because it's for them, their interest to make it successful. So I think there's a lot of things that we're not fighting against anyone. We're just another player that is facilitating with technology, the financing side that is very hard, and other little bits and pieces that also are inefficient.
Okay, one last question from my side. You said you just closed a 600K round, but you're continuing to increase. Mark is helping you for something in 2025. How much are you looking to raise?
We're looking to raise we're going to have a bridge round of 300K with the discount that we had in this round, and then we're looking at raising 1 million, because we really needed to increase operations, especially on the product side of things.
So you're looking to raise 1 million. Okay, got it. And do you know what, are you able to share what you're giving in exchange for that?
Not yet. We're working on the strategy for this round, but we'll keep you posted.
Yeah. Okay. But on the meantime,
we just closed this round. So we're like, okay, how are we going to do also?
Yeah. But at the same time, we do have space for the films. We're actually still in paid in full. There could be another 100K. And then we're coming out with a few other projects, and one of them is up to 4 million. It's a $19 million TV show based on a film called The Prophet that was very successful in 2009, and it won the Cannes Award. So This is now the TV show. It's updated and stuff, and it's amazing. We've watched the first 2 episodes, and I love it. It's brilliant. It's a very good TV show. It keeps you there and you want to watch more, and they just let us watch 2, and I'm now waiting for the 3rd episode. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else for now. I do have some personal questions. If you can stay with me, I think we're just going to end it here. So thank you so much, but don't hang up just yet. I want to